Hello crafty friends, it's Jessica here and welcome back to Jessie Kate Creates. Today's video is this super fun project share of this like shaker card featuring an elf. And y'all, I've said it before, I'm obsessed with this little elf from Spellbinders, so it made it onto another card. But this one is super fun because of this tiny little mini shaker panel on it. Now, I do have quite a few ideas on how to use this little frame element on this card for small scraps of pattern paper. So if you want to see that, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because that will be a video in the future. But let's jump into how I made this card. I'm actually going to start by talking about the background for the card. So for this, I used an embossing folder. I knew I wanted this to be a relatively clean and simple card, but as I've said a million times in my videos, I still wanted the background to have texture, so I brought in an embossing folder. This is the Spellbinders Dazzling Dots folder. It just creates this really pretty dotted diamond pattern, which I think is really pretty. And this is a regular 2D embossing folder, so it's not super thick, but it definitely adds some nice interest to the background of the card while still keeping it one solid color. Okay, so once I had the background done, it was time to work on the various elements for the card, starting with, of course, our elf. You guys have seen me put this elf on a couple different cards. This is the Spellbinders Santa's Elf die set. I just love these little elves. I don't know what it is about them. They are just so adorable, and they scratch the perfect little itch in my brain. So yeah, put these on another card. After this card and this video, I think I might force myself to stop using this set for a minute just so I can explore other die sets. But I have really been enjoying this set in particular. And I will also link up the other cards I've made with this die set if you want to see those. So for this elf, I wanted to keep the color scheme very classic red and green Christmas. So for his outfit, I used Fern. For his hat, I used Poppy. For his little gloves and boots, I used Raven. Now on each card, I've done a different skin tone combination for my elf. So for this one, I used Fawn for his skin, and I really like the way that turned out. And I used Truffle for his hair. I think that was a really good combination. And then for his cheeks and his mouth, I used Tutu. I was really happy with how that turned out. I did take a white gel pen to add a couple little accents here and there, but otherwise I kept him pretty simple. I didn't do any shading or ink blending or anything like that, and I think it still turns out super duper cute. Now for the trim on his outfit, I did bring in some white glitter cardstock from my stash. I love the way he turned out. So next, it was time to make the shaker element of this card once I had my elf done. And this is from a newer embossing and cutting set from Spellbinders. So this is really fun. This is the Spellbinders 3D Emboss and Cut Folder postage stamps. Now the way this works is really cool. So this comes with some dies and also an embossing folder. This is a 3D embossing folder. And the way this works, you open it up and these dies fit inside the embossing folder. So the way this works, you can kind of line them up and you feel them just kind of click into place. Personally, I like to use a little bit of tape to hold them in place and make sure they're not going to wiggle when I run them through my die cutting machine. So once again, I just kind of pop them into place. Now, if you just use one die for each shape, and then, of course, you'd put in your paper. This is a scrap. It's obviously not big enough, but, use your imagination. Let's pretend it was. You close this up, you run this through your embossing machine, and when you're done, what you're going to get is these two really cute little postage stamp looking pieces. And there's so many things you could do with this. You could, put an image inside here, something like that. I think they would be really cute. So that's one way you can use this little embossing folder and die cutting combination. The other thing you can do is add the little inside pieces that will turn these into frames. And once again, I do like to tape these down when I use them, just to make sure nothing wiggles around, and they just pop right into place. You'll feel them kind of pop in and know like, oh yep, that's where it's supposed to be. You put your paper in, you run it through the machine again, and this time when you run it through, it cuts out frames for your piece, and then the little inside pieces as well. And as soon as I saw these frames, I was like, oh, I have to make a shaker card. I love shaker cards. I would say probably 40% of all the cards I make are shaker cards. And so I thought these would be perfect for some little mini shaker card elements. You could also layer these up for some really fun little like framed moments on cards too. I think that would be really fun to do. And I've also been saving all of the inside pieces from these because I think these could be really fun to use on cards too, especially like mini cards or slimline cards where smaller elements appear bigger because you're working with a smaller canvas. I think these would be fun. But also, looking at this just now, y'all, doesn't this kind of look like a tombstone? I just realized that this could make for a really fun like piece for a Halloween card. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind and see if I can't use that for a card. Also, please excuse my bandage. I cut myself with a pair of scissors. It looks so much worse than it is. It's just a long cut, so I don't have a Band-Aid long enough, so I had to just use some gauze and tape. But it's an eyesore on camera, so sorry. Sorry about that, guys. But so anyway, something else I forgot to mention really quick. This die cutting and embossing folder set was a gift from Spellbinders, so thank you to Spellbinders for sending this over. I just always want to be very transparent what items I purchase for myself versus which ones are gifted to me. So this was a gifted one. Anytime you see this little green dot on an item, it means it was a gifted supply. Okay, back to these frames. So I cut out this rectangular frame from some glitter paper in my stash. It's the same glitter paper that I used on the trimming for my elf, and I used that to make a little shaker panel. Now, in order to get the elf in there, I cut out the frame, and then I don't have the elf, but I do have this little leftover number die. So I just kind of positioned him how I wanted him in the card, taped him in place, you know, put a little tape in place to hold him in place. And then I taped on my little piece of acetate. There we go. Let's pretend this is some acetate. I just taped on the acetate. And then from there, I treated this like a regular shaker card where I put foam around the edge and put in my little shaker bits. So that is how I made the little shaker panel portion of this card. Now to fill my shaker, I just looked through my stash and was kind of like, what do I have that will work? I knew I wanted this card to be, you know, the main colors are red, green, and white, and I wanted to stick with that. So looking through my stash, I found these little, oops, sorry, I think I just wiggled to you guys. I found these little clay candy cane pieces picked up at Michael's. So it's Recollections brand. I picked these up some years ago. I do not know if they're still available. I will look. If I can find them, I will link them down below along with everything else that I have used so far. But I picked these because they're red and white. I think candy canes obviously fit the Christmas vibe, so they made sense for the card. I also found these little clear confetti pieces in my stash, so I used those as well. And I have some clear little crystals. I know all together in the bottle they kind of look yellow, but when you're just looking at them individually, you can see they're just little, can you see? They're just pretty little clear gems. And I'm so sorry, you guys, because I do not know where these are from. These were from a larger bottle. I think I got these at some craft store. It could have been Joann's, AC Moore, Michael, I don't know. So many of the confetti and glitter bits I have in my stash I've accumulated from very random places over the years. But whatever you have in your stash, you can make it work. And if all you have is like gold or silver or something like that, that could work here too. Silver with this would be really pretty actually. So just use what you have in your stash to make your shaker card work for you. So once I had the shaker element on the card, then it was time for me to figure out the sentiment I wanted for this card. I wanted a very clear, kind of Christmassy sentiment since I was really leaning into the red and green color scheme. So I decided to pull out the Spellbinders Merry Sentiments Stamp and Die set. Now this is a set, when you buy it, it all comes together. So the way it works is you get a stamp set, that's one giant stamp that has all these phrases on it, and you stamp it down once, and then you use the coordinating die cut to cut out all of these different sentiments at the same time. So you stamp and die cut once, but as you can see, you get all of these different sentiments. So very effective if you are needing to make a lot of Christmas cards. So I really like that about this set. But I also really like that the word merry that's included, that kind of coordinates with all of the sentiments, has 3 different layers to it. So there's the word and then 2 shadow layers. So for this card, I cut the word merry out of that same poppy cardstock that we used for his hat. I cut the first shadow layer from the glitter cardstock, and I cut the final layer from the green, the same fern green that we used on his outfit. That way it would just kind of all coordinate and come together. Now, since the word merry overlaps the shaker element, and that is popped up on foam tape, I went ahead and popped up the word merry as well to keep everything even. And for the sentiment from the set, I used the word Christmas, so it reads Merry Christmas, and I popped that up as well so it would be even with everything else on the card. So you can kind of see, I hope you can see that little bit of dimension to the card. I do think with only 1 layer of foam tape, this card is still thin enough that it will fit through the mail without any issues. Now I thought the card looked really good, but I did want to finish it off with a couple gems. So I pulled out the Color Essential Gems. This time, instead of using opal, I used the green ones. I love the opal ones, but there's a time and a place for some other colors every once in a while too. So I used the green ones here and just kind of splattered them across the card, working from the bottom to the top corner. And I was super happy with how this card turned out. I think this one is just a really cute, really fun card. If you like shaker elements, but maybe don't want to do a full panel on a card, I think this is a fun way to still get that shaker element on a card. So I was very happy with how this turned out. Now, like I said, I am going to take a break from the elves for a little bit and do some other things. I have a couple ideas for these frames, actually. I think these would be a fabulous way to use up scraps of pattern paper. So hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks, I will have time to turn that idea into some actual cards. If you want to see that along with all of the videos I post here, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. That helps me out so much. It makes sure you see all the videos, and it helps YouTube know that other people like this channel. Another way you can support my channel is by giving my videos a thumbs up. That helps me so much in the YouTube algorithm, and it helps other people to join our crafty community here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this card inspires you to have some fun and maybe make some little mini shaker elements on some of your Christmas cards. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye!